Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I might come to you guys with a story time. Yes, trying to get a business up and running on the internet can be challenging. So before I started YouTube or anything like that, I started off as a freelancer. That can be very exciting. It can be lucrative, but sometimes because a lot of people are outside the US, most of the jobs that you get online are either for US citizens, Canadians, or even the UK. Now, if you're not in any of those places, it can get a little bit challenging to try to find a job. So you have to be a little creative about it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about ways in which I was able to get a little bit of side money from sites that actually hire worldwide worldwide workers. First of all, when I started, I had no idea, that you could actually get a relatively good income on the side. It's not going to be your full-time income. It's not something that you can, you know, leave your full-time job for. So I started with the first thing I ever started with was Humanetics. I will link it down below. Humanetics was actually more like a side hustle, if I can put it that way, because it was more like collecting pennies instead of actual real money. But at the end, I was able to cash out about $20 and I left that alone. It was great for an entry level to kind of test the waters and see if I can actually get paid to do something online. Because you would take inbound calls and outbound calls that are pre-recorded and you will just have to categorize them. But the only problem with that is because I live in Europe, the time difference, one. Secondly, because of the time difference, um, the workflow to Europe was not as much as it would have been if I lived in the US, of course. And the other thing was that so many people were on the site that it was so slow because it tells you, how many users are currently online. And I found that even though I was quite strategic about it because it tells you, times where it's high volume, low volume, and also times that you can go get more calls during that time. But at the same time, everybody obviously knew that, and everybody would try to do the same thing that I was doing. So it was not so successful, but I did manage to make some money from it. So because in the beginning, when you are starting off from zero, if you don't have any extra money to get things started, because even though you do YouTube, for example, you still have to have some kind of money maybe to buy software to help you with, even if it's not a big budget, but you need some budget to start working online or even having a business online. And these ideas are things that I did that required zero dollars, right? All I had to do was download the app and go on and listen to pre-recorded phone calls. It was quite interesting sometimes to listen to people. But anyhow, the second thing that I did was transcribing videos into text. That can be very lucrative if you're looking for a side income, but it is also time consuming and it requires skill. With Humanetics, it didn't require any skills. All you had to do was listen and there's like a multiple choice after the call, and you just tick, and that's all you had to do. But with transcription, first of all, most of these transcription websites need you to do a test, like entry level test, and after you pass that test, then you can move on into their database and get either broken down videos, or sometimes they give you, bigger files that you'll have to transcribe depending on the company, and plus you have to learn their style, and you have to make sure that you follow it to the T, because if you don't follow the rules, then well, your account might just get cancelled. So I did that for a little bit. I used actually Transcribe Me. That was great. I was able to, no, not Transcribe Me, Scrubby. Transcribe Me, I couldn't for for a long time. I could not pass the test because the test was really really complicated. Not hard though. It wasn't hard, but very complicated because the sound quality of the audio was really terrible, and trying to make sense of what they're saying and then transcribing it, it's just, I mean, you can get, I was getting over 80% of the, because they give you the results of your test, but still that was not enough, because you have to have like 3 tests, and from those 3 tests, I guess the average of the 3, then you pass. So I think the first time I did the test twice. The first time I was able to get a 70, 80, 70, and that's not enough. That's not enough to pass the overall exam. But with Scrubby, I was able to pass the exam with, I think, just 2 attempts, because they give you more attempts on there. But the only thing with Scrubby is that you have to, it's a long process. First, you have to get, I think, approved, your account approved, and then after getting the account approved, and then you have to wait another 2 weeks to for them to get back to you whether or not you're going to do the test, and then after you do the test, it's another period of waiting. It's quite a lengthy process. I think it took me 2 months or 2.5 months to actually get a yes from them, and then do the exam, and everything was sorted after that. And they pay you per audio minute, but that does not mean that it will take you 1 minute of the audio to transcribe, because I was new at it. It took me about for 60 no for 3 minutes of actual audio. It took me about 30 minutes, because the audio one can be a little bit on the bad quality side, and secondly, accents, because it could be anything from a podcast, from a meeting, it could be anything really. So once you listen to what they're saying, put that into text, and then you obviously have to put all your punctuation and your grammar correctly according to their rules. Then after doing that, going back and rechecking and checking, that can take a lot of time. But you do get software that can help you. Even though you get the software is not as good as your own ear, because it depends on the sound and the speed of the voice of the person that is talking, and the computer or that software can type in something that sounds like what they're saying. So you still have to go back and listen to the actual audios. But that's a good way. You can make anything from $200. The highest paid people there were getting like 1,000, 2,000 something dollars. So it is dependent on how fast you are. If you're a great typist and you have a good yeah, you can listen really well and sort out people's accents, all that will be a great asset if you want to start transcribing. Now, another thing that I did try as well was being a tutor online. So I was teaching English to students that wanted to learn English as a second or third language, but this was only for professionals. And this is actually a great way of actually making money online because they already have their clients, the schools already have their clients, and they train you. They have their own software that you don't have to pay for. And the only thing that you need is the time, obviously, time to do the training because the trainings can be quite intensive. With this particular one, this was Belize Europe. I was able to finish the training in 2 weeks. But before that, with the interviews and everything, it could take you up a couple of weeks for the interview process. Once you get through that, then the actual training, because they train you in groups. So once they get the group together, which doesn't take long usually, once they get the group together, start training you, because in my group it was only four of us. So it was a small group, so you had that one-on-one time with the trainer, which was excellent. But you are expected to have your own laptop and a quiet place because, and also let's say about 4 to 6 hours a day for the training because it gets really intense and you have to do presentations and everything. After that, once you actually get into teaching, that's where the fun starts. You meet people from all over the world that are on different levels in their journey of learning English. They also have other languages. I think they have German, they have Spanish that I knew of, Russian, some Scandinavian languages, Norwegian, Swedish. They had a few. And I had the most fun with this online job because it was more interactive. Because when you work online, it can get a bit boring and monotonous because you are at home and it's just you and your computer screen, or if you're transcribing, your headsets. So when you do this kind of work where you have to talk to people on video, it is really exciting because not only did we talk about things that are in the class, but that we had to go through, the syllabus, but we also had time to just have a chat. They would tell me about their lives. I would tell them about things relating to the subject matter, obviously, that we were talking to. So that was the most fun I had and the most paid job because you have different levels, obviously, of payment and depending on your experience, which was excellent. So now, with all these jobs, I will just go back and give you the pros and cons. So the first one that was humanetics. The pros, you don't have to have any starting capital. You don't have to have any equipment apart from your cell phone. And if you wanted to listen in, of course, every cell phone comes with the headphones, so you can use those. They suffice, nothing wrong with them. Just listen to it and just tick. So very simple, no startup. The cons to that was you don't get paid much. It was overcrowded on the site, so which slowed it down, and not as much work all the time. Even when you were ready to work, there was not enough work for everybody. So that was the con. And then the second job that I used to do, I told you guys transcription, was scrubbing. The pros to that is that it pays. You get to decide how much you want to earn, so it will pay you well if you put in the work. And another pro to it is that the test, the entrance test, is not so difficult. Their rules and their way that they want things transcribed is not so complicated. So you can learn it in a few days, and that's it. And they give you the PDF to download, so you can always have it handy when you are transcribing. Now, the cons to that is that audio quality. You can get great audio quality sometimes on some um, audios, on some videos, or if you're just using MP3 or MP4, great. Sometimes, other time, actually most of the time, the audio is not so great, so that can be a con. Another con is that because you are working at home, it gets a bit boring at times because all you're doing is listening and typing all the time. And those are the only two cons that I can think of right now. And then the last one, of course, the one that I had the most fun at, was Blitz. Blitz, the pros, they train you. Secondly, they give you all the material. Thirdly, the software they use is excellent, and you don't have to pay for it. The fourth thing, see how many pros there are. The fourth thing was that you get to meet so many people from all over the world trying to learn English, and I have not met any horrible student, for lack of a better word. Everybody was always kind and always pleasant. And the other thing is actually the admin staff from Berlitz were fantastic. They would help you with anything that you needed at any time. That was also a pro. The con is, you know, the noise. Sometimes you can't, because I live in an area where there are dogs, people, neighbors. You need to have a quiet place. So if you can get like a noise canceling headset, that will be fantastic. The other con is that you have to have your own laptop or computer and equipment to start off with. Mm, if you don't have, if you're starting from zero, you can't use your cell phone. You have to have a laptop or a desktop to do that job. I can't think of any other con, which is a good thing. So I really enjoyed that job. I had to stop because of personal reasons. Had nothing to do with the company. I would have continued if I could have, but my life at that moment, I had things that I needed to take care of, and I could not carry on with them. So I hope you enjoyed that story time that I had for you guys, and it is always great to do an extra something extra on the side to gain more income, because as we all know nowadays things are expensive, and it's always great to have a little extra cash for fun things or vacation, or just to pay, some bills on the side. Anyhow, have a fantastic day, and please don't forget to subscribe, and also let us know what you have done to either supplement your income or have a side hustle. Any companies that you would recommend to me or anybody else looking for side income internationally, because most of the jobs that I see online are for the US citizens. So great. See you next time.